Most gardeners expect a perennial to come back every spring, but what they don't expect is watching it bloom beautifully for 2 or 3 weeks, and then spend the rest of the growing season doing almost nothing. By midsummer, many flower beds begin to lose their excitement. The bright colors of spring are fading, empty spaces begin to appear, and suddenly your garden doesn't look nearly as impressive as it did a month earlier. The surprising truth is that this doesn't happen because you're a bad gardener. It happens because many of the most commonly sold perennials were never bred to provide months of continuous color. If you choose the right plants from the very beginning, your garden can stay colorful from late spring until the first hard frost with far less maintenance than you might imagine. Even better, many of these plants attract butterflies, hummingbirds, native bees, and other pollinators while asking for very little in return. Today we're counting down 20 of the longest blooming perennials that deserve a place in American gardens. Some are well known, others are surprisingly overlooked. Several perform in a wide range of USDA growing zones, making them excellent choices whether you garden in the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, or much of the West. And make sure you stay until the end because the final plant on today's list is one of the longest blooming perennials available. Yet many gardeners walk right past it every year without realizing what they're missing. Let's begin. Number 20, Catmint, Nepeta. If there is one perennial that consistently surprises first-time gardeners, it's Catmint. At first glance, it may seem like a simple mound of soft gray-green foliage topped with lavender-blue flowers, but once it begins blooming, it rarely stops. In many parts of the United States, Catmint starts flowering in late spring and continues producing fresh blooms well into autumn. One reason for its incredible performance is its ability to quickly recover after trimming. Once the first heavy bloom begins to fade, simply cut the plant back by about 1/3. Within a few weeks, fresh stems appear, followed by another impressive flush of flowers. Few perennials respond this dramatically to such a simple task. Catmint thrives in USDA zones 3 through 8. It loves full sun but can tolerate light afternoon shade in warmer regions. Once established, it handles drought surprisingly well and rarely asks for supplemental watering. The fragrant foliage naturally discourages deer and rabbits, while bees seem unable to resist its flowers. Plant it along walkways, border edges, or around roses where its soft shape beautifully contrasts upright plants. Its gentle color also blends effortlessly with almost every garden style. Whether your landscape is formal or relaxed, Catmint always seems to fit. Number 19. Coreopsis. Some flowers seem determined to bloom no matter how difficult the season becomes. Coreopsis belongs firmly in that category. Often called tick seed, this cheerful perennial produces hundreds of daisy-like flowers that can continue blooming for months. Modern varieties have expanded far beyond traditional yellow. Today you'll find bright gold, rich crimson, orange, bicolored combinations, creamy white, and even deep burgundy selections. Many begin flowering in early summer and continue until frost with regular deadheading. Coreopsis performs best in full sun and well-drained soil. USDA zones 4 through 9 offer excellent growing conditions for most varieties. One reason gardeners appreciate this plant is its incredible toughness. Heat, humidity, dry spells, poor soil, Coreopsis simply keeps blooming. Butterflies frequently visit the flowers while birds later enjoy the seeds if some blooms are left standing toward autumn. If you're building a low-maintenance landscape, few plants provide more color for less effort. A drift of Coreopsis can completely transform a dull border into one of the brightest areas of the garden. Number 18, Russian Sage. Despite its common name, Russian sage isn't actually a true sage. What it does offer, however, is months of beautiful silver foliage covered in airy violet-blue flowers. When planted in groups, Russian sage creates clouds of color that seem to float above the garden. Unlike many flowering perennials that struggle during extreme summer heat, this one often performs even better. Its deep root system allows it to tolerate drought once established. That makes it especially valuable in areas where watering restrictions exist. USDA zones 4 through 9 are ideal. Full sun is essential. The more sunlight it receives, the stronger its flowering display becomes. Pollinators absolutely love Russian sage. Throughout summer, you'll often find honeybees, native bees, butterflies, and even hummingbirds visiting its blossoms. Another advantage is its resistance to deer. The aromatic foliage makes it far less attractive than many neighboring plants. Combine Russian sage with ornamental grasses or yellow-flowering perennials for an unforgettable late summer display. The contrast is stunning. Number 17. Blanket flower, Gaillardia. Some flowers seem to capture the colors of a summer sunset. Blanket flower is one of them. Its blooms combine brilliant shades of red, orange, and golden yellow into flowers that seem almost painted by hand. These vibrant blossoms appear in early summer and continue remarkably late into the season. Many gardeners are surprised by just how long they last. Blanket flower thrives in hot, sunny locations where other perennials often struggle. Poor soil doesn't bother it. In fact, overly rich soil sometimes produces fewer flowers. It prefers excellent drainage and plenty of sunshine. USDA zones 3 through 10 can successfully grow many varieties. Because the flowers continually produce nectar, butterflies remain frequent visitors all summer. Deadheading encourages additional blooming, although many newer cultivars continue flowering impressively, even without constant maintenance. If your goal is maximum color with minimum care, blanket flower deserves serious consideration. Its warm colors naturally draw attention from across the yard, and unlike many high-impact flowers, it asks for very little in return. Number 16. Salvia. If your garden feels like it loses its energy during the hottest weeks of summer, perennial salvia can completely change that. While many flowers begin slowing down once temperatures climb, salvia often reaches its peak. Tall flower spikes covered in rich blue, purple, pink, white, or deep red blooms create strong, vertical interest that instantly makes a flower bed look fuller. One reason gardeners appreciate salvia is how quickly it rewards simple maintenance. After the first wave of flowers fades, trim the spent flower spikes back to healthy foliage. Within a few weeks, fresh stems begin growing, followed by another impressive round of blooms. Many varieties continue repeating this cycle until frost. Salvia performs best in USDA zones 4 through 9. It prefers full sun and well-drained soil. Once established, it becomes surprisingly drought-tolerant, making it an excellent choice for water-conscious landscapes. Another advantage is wildlife resistance. Deer and rabbits usually ignore the aromatic foliage, while bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds visit the flowers almost nonstop. Plant salvia alongside yellow Coreopsis, white daisies, or ornamental grasses, and the color contrast creates one of the most eye-catching combinations in any summer garden. Number 15. Coneflower, Echinacea. Few Native American perennials have earned a stronger reputation than coneflowers. Years ago, most gardeners only recognized the classic purple variety. Today, the choices are almost endless. You'll find bright orange, rich red, creamy white, golden yellow, coral pink, lime green, and even double-flowered selections that look completely different from the originals. Most begin blooming in early summer and continue producing flowers for several months. Removing faded blooms encourages even more flowering, but many gardeners intentionally leave some seed heads standing toward autumn. Those seed heads become an important food source for goldfinches and other backyard birds throughout fall and winter. Coneflowers thrive in USDA zones 3 through 9. They tolerate heat remarkably well, and once their roots are established, they handle dry conditions with very little additional watering. The large, nectar-rich flowers attract an incredible variety of pollinators. On a sunny afternoon, it's common to see butterflies, native bees, honeybees, and even hummingbirds sharing the same planting. If you're trying to build a wildlife-friendly garden that stays colorful for months, coneflowers belong near the top of your list. Number 14. Hardy Geranium. Many gardeners hear the word geranium and immediately picture the colorful annuals sold every spring. Hardy geraniums are completely different. These long-lived perennials form attractive mounds covered with delicate flowers that continue blooming for much longer than most people expect. Some varieties begin flowering in late spring and continue well into early autumn, with only light trimming between bloom cycles. Their foliage also remains attractive throughout much of the growing season, helping fill empty spaces between larger plants. Hardy geraniums grow well in USDA zones 4 through 8. Unlike many flowering perennials, they tolerate partial shade surprisingly well, making them valuable for areas where full sun is difficult to achieve. They spread gradually without becoming invasive, creating soft carpets of green covered in blue, violet, pink, or white blossoms. Because of their long bloom period and easy nature, they're often used beneath roses, shrubs, and small ornamental trees. Number 13. Black-eyed Susan. Sometimes the simplest flowers become the hardest working plants in the entire landscape. Black-eyed Susan proves that every single year. Beginning in midsummer, hundreds of bright golden flowers with dark centers begin covering the plants. Instead of fading after only a few weeks, many modern varieties continue blooming until frost. Breeders have also developed selections with much better disease resistance than older types. That means cleaner foliage, healthier plants, and a much longer display. Black-eyed Susans thrive in USDA zones 3 through 9. They're extremely adaptable and perform well in flower borders, cottage gardens, naturalized meadows, and pollinator gardens. Butterflies frequently visit the flowers, while birds later feed on the seed heads. If you want one perennial that brings reliable color year after year with very little effort, this is one of the safest choices you can make. The cheerful yellow flowers brighten almost every planting combination and never seem to go out of style. Number 12. Agastache, or Hyssop. If you want a garden that buzzes with life from midsummer until frost, Agastache deserves your attention. Its upright flower spikes bloom in shades of lavender, coral, orange, pink, purple, and blue, creating vibrant color long after many other perennials have finished their show. One of Agastache's greatest strengths is its ability to thrive during intense summer heat. While some flowering plants begin to struggle during July and August, Agastache often looks even better. Hummingbirds are especially attracted to its tubular flowers. Once a mature plant reaches full bloom, it's common to see hummingbirds visiting several times throughout the day. Butterflies and native bees are equally enthusiastic. Agastache grows best in USD zones 5 through 10. It needs full sun and excellent drainage. In heavy clay soils, raised beds or soil amendments greatly improve long-term success. Avoid overwatering once the plant becomes established. Slightly dry conditions usually produce healthier plants with stronger flowering. Because of its long bloom period, Agastache works beautifully toward the middle or back of perennial borders where its tall flower spikes create movement and texture. Number 11. Shasta Daisy. Very few flowers symbolize summer quite like the Shasta daisy. Large white petals surrounding bright golden centers instantly brighten any landscape. Older varieties often flowered for only a short period, but many modern cultivars continue producing blooms throughout the growing season when faded flowers are removed regularly. These cheerful blossoms also make excellent cut flowers, allowing gardeners to enjoy fresh bouquets indoors while encouraging even more blooms outside. Shasta daisies perform well in USDA zones 4 through 9. They enjoy full sun and moderately fertile, well-drained soil. Every few years, dividing mature clumps helps maintain vigorous flowering and prevents overcrowding. Pollinators quickly discover these flowers, especially bees and butterflies searching for reliable summer nectar sources. Whether planted in cottage gardens, formal borders, or naturalized landscapes, Shasta daisies provide timeless beauty that never feels outdated. Number 10. Bee Balm, Monarda. Some flowers don't simply decorate a garden. They transform it into a wildlife destination. Bee balm is one of those plants. Its unique, firework-like blooms appear in brilliant shades of scarlet, pink, lavender, purple, and white. The unusual flower shape provides an irresistible food source for hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, and numerous native pollinators. Few perennials create this much activity in one location. Bee balm performs best in USDA zones 4 through 9. It appreciates full sun in cooler climates and light afternoon shade in hotter southern regions. Good air circulation helps reduce powdery mildew, one of the few problems occasionally affecting older varieties. Modern disease-resistant cultivars have significantly improved reliability. Removing faded flowers encourages additional blooming, extending the display well into late summer. If your goal is creating a pollinator paradise filled with movement and color, Balm deserves a prominent place in your landscape. Number 9. Veronica Speedwell. Veronica may not receive as much attention as some famous perennials, but its performance speaks for itself. Elegant flower spikes rise above compact green foliage, blooming in shades of blue, purple, pink, and white. The first flush usually begins in late spring or early summer. After flowering slows, trimming spent spikes encourages another impressive round of blooms. This repeating cycle continues for much of the season. Veronica thrives in USDA zones 3 through 8. It enjoys full sun and well-drained soil while tolerating a wide range of growing conditions. Because many varieties remain relatively compact, they're perfect for the front of flower borders, edging pathways, or filling smaller garden spaces. Butterflies frequently land on the long flower spikes, while bees gather nectar throughout the day. Despite its delicate appearance, Veronica is a dependable, low-maintenance perennial, capable of providing months of color with only minimal care. Number 8. Blanket flower, Gaillardia. If your summers are hot, dry, and sometimes unforgiving, blanket flower could become one of the hardest working plants in your entire garden. Its fiery blooms combine brilliant shades of red, orange, and golden yellow that seem to glow in bright sunshine. Even during long periods of heat, Gaillardia continues producing fresh flowers when many other perennials begin slowing down. Most varieties start blooming in early summer and continue until the first frost, especially if faded flowers are removed every week or two. One of its greatest advantages is that it actually performs better in lean, sandy, or rocky soil than in overly rich ground. Too much fertilizer often produces lush leaves but fewer flowers. Blanket flower thrives in USDA zones 3 through 10. It requires full sun and excellent drainage. Once established, it's highly drought tolerant, making it an outstanding choice for xeriscaping and low-water landscapes. Butterflies visit the flowers regularly, while birds often feed on the seeds later in the season. If you're searching for non-stop color with very little maintenance, this perennial easily earns its place. Number 7. Coral bells, Heuchera. Not every perennial earns its place because of flowers alone. Coral bells offers something many gardens desperately need: beautiful foliage that remains attractive from spring until late fall, combined with delicate flower spikes that add even more interest. Depending on the variety, the leaves may appear deep burgundy, caramel, lime green, silver, nearly black, or even bright copper. These colorful leaves create contrast long before the flowers appear. In late spring and early summer, slender stems rise above the foliage carrying hundreds of tiny bell-shaped blooms in shades of white, coral, pink, or red. Although the flowers seem delicate, hummingbirds quickly discover them. Coral bells perform well in USDA zones 4 through 9. Unlike many flowering perennials, they tolerate partial shade extremely well, making them ideal beneath trees, beside patios, or along the north side of buildings. Well-drained soil is essential because constantly wet roots can shorten the plant's lifespan. Every few years, dividing mature clumps helps keep plants healthy and vigorous. For gardeners wanting season-long beauty, even when flowers are between bloom cycles, few perennials match the versatility of Heuchera. Number 6. In garden phlox. When garden phlox reaches full bloom, it becomes one of the most noticeable plants in the landscape. Large clusters of fragrant flowers rise above sturdy stems, filling the air with a sweet scent while attracting butterflies from remarkable distances. Modern breeding has dramatically improved disease resistance, solving one of the biggest problems older varieties faced. Today's cultivars remain cleaner, healthier, and far more reliable throughout summer. Available in shades of white, lavender, pink, purple, magenta, and red, garden phlox fits almost every planting style. Most varieties begin flowering in midsummer and continue well into early autumn with regular deadheading. Garden phlox grows best in USDA zones 4 through 8. It appreciates fertile, well-drained soil and consistent watering during prolonged dry periods. Spacing plants properly improves air circulation, helping prevent fungal diseases while encouraging stronger growth. Plant them toward the middle or back of perennial borders, where their height creates beautiful layers of color. Their long-lasting flowers also make excellent additions to fresh-cut bouquets. Number 5. Japanese Anemone. As summer begins fading, many gardens slowly lose their color. Japanese Anemone changes that completely. Instead of finishing early, this elegant perennial waits until late summer before producing graceful flowers that continue blooming well into autumn. Its tall, slender stems sway gently in the breeze, carrying white, soft pink or rose-colored blossoms above attractive green foliage. This airy appearance brings movement and elegance to shaded garden spaces. Japanese anemones perform well in USDA zones 4 through 8. They prefer morning sun with afternoon shade in warmer climates and consistently moist, well-drained soil. Once established, they slowly spread into beautiful colonies that become even more impressive each year. Because they bloom when many summer flowers are already fading, they help bridge the transition into fall while providing fresh nectar for late-season pollinators. If your garden always seems to lose excitement after August, this perennial offers one of the easiest solutions. Number 4. Tick seed Coreopsis. If there is one perennial that proves you don't need constant attention to have a colorful garden, it's tick seed. Modern Coreopsis varieties are bred to bloom longer, produce more flowers, and tolerate difficult weather better than ever before. Once flowering begins in early summer, mature plants can become completely covered with cheerful blooms, often hiding most of the foliage beneath. You'll find varieties in brilliant yellow, rich orange, crimson red, soft pink, creamy white, and striking bicolor combinations. Deadheading encourages continuous flowering, but many of the newest cultivars naturally keep producing blooms with very little maintenance. Coreopsis thrives in USDA zones 4 through 9. It prefers full sun and well-drained soil, but adapts surprisingly well to poor, sandy, or rocky locations where many other flowering plants struggle. Because of its compact habit, tickseed works beautifully along pathways, mixed borders, mailbox gardens, and even large containers. Butterflies visit the flowers almost every day throughout the growing season, making it one of the easiest ways to increase pollinator activity in your landscape. Number 3. Black-eyed Susan, Rudbeckia. Some flowers never go out of style, and black-eyed Susan is one of them. Its bright golden petals surrounding dark chocolate-colored centers create one of the most recognizable flower displays in North America. Modern varieties bloom much longer than older selections, often flowering from midsummer until the first hard frost. They also show improved resistance to common leaf diseases, allowing the foliage to stay attractive throughout the season. Black-eyed Susan grows successfully in USDA zones 3 through 9. It tolerates heat, humidity, drought, and a wide variety of soil conditions once established. Plant several together in large groups, and you'll create an eye-catching wave of color that can be seen from across the yard. During late summer and early autumn, butterflies frequently stop to feed on the nectar-rich flowers. Later in the season, birds enjoy the seed heads, adding another layer of wildlife interest to your garden. If you're searching for dependable color year after year, few perennials are as reliable. Number 2, Salvia. By the time midsummer arrives, many gardens begin losing their energy. Salvia keeps the show going. Its tall flower spikes produce intense shades of deep blue, violet, purple, pink, white, and rich crimson that stand out beautifully against surrounding greenery. One of Salvia's greatest strengths is its ability to bloom repeatedly. After the first wave fades, simply trim the old flower spikes back to healthy leaves. Within weeks, new stems emerge, followed by another spectacular display. This cycle can continue all the way until frost. Salvia performs best in USDA zones 4 through 9. It loves full sun, excellent drainage, and moderate watering while becoming increasingly drought-tolerant as it matures. The fragrant foliage naturally discourages deer and rabbits, while hummingbirds, butterflies, and countless native bees visit the flowers daily. For gardeners wanting nonstop color without constant maintenance, Salvia is one of the smartest investments available. Number 1. Verbena bonariensis. If your goal is to create a garden that appears alive from late spring until frost, few perennials can compete with Verbena bonariensis. Unlike dense flowering plants, this perennial produces tall, slender stems topped with clusters of vibrant purple flowers that seem to float above the rest of the garden. The open structure allows sunlight to reach lower growing plants while creating incredible depth and movement throughout the landscape. Even more impressive is its blooming season. In favorable conditions, Verbena bonariensis begins flowering in early summer and often continues until the first killing frost. Every cluster becomes a magnet for butterflies, bees, hummingbirds, and countless beneficial insects. At times, a single mature plant can host multiple pollinators simultaneously, turning an ordinary flower bed into one of the busiest places in the garden. It grows well in USDA zones 7 through 11 as a perennial and frequently self-seeds in cooler climates, returning year after year with very little effort. Plant it toward the back of borders, among ornamental grasses, or mixed with colorful perennials to create a natural, layered appearance. Once established, it asks for surprisingly little care beyond occasional watering during extended dry periods. If you want one perennial that delivers months of color, incredible wildlife activity, graceful movement, and outstanding garden presence, Verbena bonariensis deserves serious consideration. A garden filled with long-blooming perennials doesn't just look beautiful for a few weeks, it continues rewarding you month after month with vibrant flowers, beneficial pollinators, and changing seasonal beauty. Choose plants with overlapping bloom times, give them the right growing conditions, and your landscape can remain colorful from late spring until the first frost.